Three, two, one.
Dear future Ted, it's me, 1993 Ted. If you're reading this, it means we got a new series on the most successful streaming platform ever. Yeah, we got a new series. Is the future amazing? I bet NASA sends people to the moon all the time. Moon quality? Negative. Unlimited porn in our pockets? Check. Anyway, I can't wait to see a world of flying cars, normal weather, and new TV characters that just don't rehash old stuff. Poor Obama had so much hope.
Can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah, welcome to Campy Cast, everybody.
Hello. I know it's been a bit of a gap between, but honestly, this was part two for this was supposed to come out ages ago, like 2 weeks ago probably, but it was just hard to plan, which is kind of a pattern.
Let's just say our November was a little packed, so we couldn't quite do this. But we finally got it in. It's been a while. It's kind of weird. Our October plan we're doing late November, but it's fine. We're having a nightmare before Christmas. This is the Elm Street Christmas specials.
Part two. This is part two of the Elm Street one that we did like nearly a month ago. So. Yeah, but we're back.
It's been a while, but we're back.
We finally had time to record this, and also I want to mention before we get into the brief news, and then we'll just kind of do what we did last time, but with the 4 movies. We're not going to be counting. I don't think I mentioned this, but we're not counting Freddy versus Jason, since that's more of a part of the Friday the 13th franchise than Elm Street. So I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Friday movies outside of Jason the first
X,
one,
for some reason.
And that weird Jason X episode we did a while back. I would say it would be an episode someday, but I'm lying. I don't want to do those as an episode. But I don't know. Watch Freddy versus Jason.
Maybe we'll just do Freddy.
Yeah, let's do a fun movie.
Yeah,
maybe we'll do that. But the other one's probably not. But anyway, welcome. This is Elm Street Part 2. This is Yeah. I think in comparison, these last 4, kind of like when we did Leprechaun, they're more distinct from each other each. Because 5 I closely associate with 4, because I think they're around similar levels of quality, and also I kind of confuse them for each other sometimes, to be honest. And then we got Freddy's Dead, which is our most wacky one. And then A New Nightmare and the remake are entirely different. So I think these are more distinct movies than our first 4.
Yeah.
But they're debatably worse, though. We'll get into it. But yeah. Do we have any news to discuss beforehand?
Like the thing we just referenced, there was a teaser for the TED show, and I bring this up because we're probably going to be talking about that as a sequel.
You bet I will.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
When we talked about the TED movies, we got to talk about the follow-up.
Exactly, yeah. The thing is with that, the teaser, I don't even think the teaser is going to be a clip in the actual show. I think it's one of those teasers that's just like,
just kind of a joke to get us interested. I've watched that trailer more times than I probably should, but it's a great joke. I love that opening bit I said where they make fun of Peacock. They're like, the most successful streaming platform. It's like, we got a new series.
Because who the hell uses Peacock?
Exactly. I'm willing to bet some people will sign up for Peacock just so they can watch the new TED series.
But same thing probably with the freaking FNAF movie, or they could just pirate it.
I don't know. It being on Peacock is so weird, because Seth MacFarlane, 90% of his films have been at like Fox and and now it's Disney, so you think it'll be Disney.
Yeah, I find it weird that a freaking TED show's on Peacock.
Yeah, but no, he did Universal for TED, which I'm pretty sure, I forget if I mentioned it in that episode, but I know that he went with Universal because Fox wanted to push a PG-13 TED, and Universal let them do R. So, I don't know, I guess that's the reason TED is the way it is today. Yippee. But anyway, that probably won't affect much about the actual series. I'm more just concerned plot-wise how it'll turn out. Because as we discussed in our episode, TED 1, I think it's a solid script, but it's not an amazing movie. And TED 2, I kind of like, but it's... And the fact this is a prequel just doesn't leave a lot of room for like interesting opportunities. Like what arcs and stories are they gonna give Ted? For all I know, it could be entirely a farce. Which I mean, in fairness, that might be pretty fun, you know. And if it's fun, I'll like that. But well, I guess we'll see. It's
Yeah.
coming up pretty January, which is earlier than I expected. So yeah, January. Expect that Ted episode. Ooh,
Yeah,
but
that might
yeah,
be one of our first episodes of 2024, probably.
that is true.
So
I'll be
stay,
excited for that.
yeah, stay tuned for
But
that.
yeah.
How much more
There's not
news,
much other stuff.
despite the weird
There was
gap
the
between
Garfield
this.
trailer,
That's like,
which
yeah, that's a, I don't know, that's like, I don't know, we heard Chris Pratt's Garfield voice, and it's literally like,
I hate. I hated the trailer personally, but I don't know if you want to get into that.
I think we'll wait till we get to the Garfield can't be cast episode, which
Yeah, well, we'll
let's
save
be
it
honest,
then.
will probably happen at some point at this
Oh
rate.
no, it will happen. I gotta talk about this movie. But to shorten it, however, as a Garfield fan, I think they grossly misinterpreted the source material. This sounds like a joke, but they really did. It doesn't look good at all.
Yeah.
But well, you'll hear about that in like June 2024. I think when the movie
Yeah,
comes
I know
out.
the two things we mentioned are just teasing other stuff, and there's
Yeah,
probably
I don't know.
other.
There's also the Gumball Dream drama, which I considered quoting at the beginning of this, but I don't think it would land as well.
Yeah,
But
well, there's also stuff like the newest Marvel movie doing bad, but like, yeah,
yeah, the
just
Marvels.
yeah, not
I think
even
it's the
seeing
Marvels'
that movie.
first bomb. Because every other movie's made like, well, they've been not been doing as well in Phase 4 or whatever, but even still, it's been like,
Yeah,
you
this one's
know,
actually doing
solid
bad
enough, but
financially.
now recently they've just like been like, nah.
Yeah, because the people just
And
don't
you
give
know,
a
it makes
shit.
sense. As we've talked about before, Marvel keeps pumping out stuff, and they've lost their sense of like brand or like motivation. People be, no, you gotta watch all these movies so the
Yeah, it's
next
not
one
a
makes
rare
sense.
occurrence
They don't have a
anymore.
plan anymore, so it's not building to
Yeah,
anything.
apparently there's
I guess it's supposed
only
to, yeah.
apparently in the MCU there's only like one movie coming out next year called which is the third Deadpool movie apparently. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, no, Deadpool 3 sounds like a mess to be entirely honest. You heard about this? But I don't even like
I
it's
haven't
supposed to be
seen the
coming
other
out
Deadpool.
relatively soon, and they haven't even like wrapped filming. And I think they were doing it during the writer's strike or something,
Oh,
which is
that,
ugh.
what?
And I don't know. I know it's some sort of multiverse thing. I know Wolverine is in it, which people are really happy about. They're like, "Oh my god, it's Wolverine,
Holy
my
crap.
favorite Marvel character." I don't know, the Deadpool movies, I haven't watched them, but they give me this bad vibe, specifically because I don't like that type of obnoxious meta humor. It can be done well, but him and just combined with Ryan Reynolds, I fucking hate Ryan Reynolds, by the way. But I don't know, they just seem like very smug, annoying movies to me, which I hate in a film. So I've never steered. Have you seen them, Anthony? I forget if you
No,
have or not.
no,
Ah, okay.
not yet. I might see them
I don't
at
know,
some
maybe you'll
point.
watch them to go watch this new one. Ooh,
Man,
maybe.
maybe I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing. I honestly, the main Marvel movies I'm keeping up with is the failed Sony verse to see what stupid shit
Oh
they're
no,
doing
I
next.
agree. Those movies are fucking terrible for the most part, but at least they're more interesting
Yeah,
to like talk. Like, you remember the impact Morbius had? Everyone was
yeah, and
talking
now I'm
about
hyped for
that.
stuff like
And
Craven the Hunter in Venom 3, and
mm,
there's also Madam Web. There's a
it
lot
is
of
so
these stupid
funny.
ass movies
Like
coming
their
out.
whole thing is we can make more Marvel movies with the Spider-Man license, just not Spider-Man, and you can make a roster out of any Spider-Man villain possible, and they're going for like Morbius and
Yeah, like
Craven.
villains that
The
no
only
one
good
has ever
solid
heard
choice
of.
they've made is Venom.
Yeah, the
I don't even
only
like the Venom
reason that
movies,
the
but that makes
fucking
sense.
Venom movies are doing better than all of them is because Venom is a more identifiable Spider-Man villain than any of the other
Well,
ones
yeah,
we've been
exactly,
to.
because everyone knows who Venom is.
Nobody
People are
knows who
obsessed with Venom
Morbius is.
to
The
like a
only
point.
reason people
Everyone
not
likes Venom, even though he ruined Spider-Man 3. But you know, you get
yeah.
the idea. Like, they never do any of the actual characters they like could be, and it's not even an issue of we don't have the lineup. No, they do. They could make movies out of all these guys, but then they just don't, and it's confusing because
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. So Sony just been kind of a mess lately with all that. I don't even know what they're gonna do now after the whole Morbius thing. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Well, I think that's it. Yeah, I guess we could just get
Yeah, we don't have
final.
a lot of news, like I said. I
Mhm.
guess we'll just jump into it
Yeah, let's
then.
get to part two, starting with Nightmare on Elm Street: The Dream Child, which is
Yeah, I
a
know.
direct
Let's see.
sequel to the last one,
Yeah,
which was
this one
called what
actually.
was the last one called?
It was called what was it?
the
Nightmare on Elm Street. The we probably shouldn't
the
be
Dream
forgetting titles on
Master,
that.
the fucking
The
Dream.
Dream.
Look,
Well,
I
the
don't even
Dream
remember the
something.
names for all these movies. I just get because they're all
I
like
don't know. See, this is what I mean. Four, I very closely associate with five because they're very
yeah, they're
similar
very
quality wise in my
similar and
mind.
like I think
Yeah,
this one's a little
which
more
kind of causes
stupid.
me to like forget about five sometimes, and I think ultimately I prefer four to five. I don't know where you landed on that, but I
I
think
think I
four is the
prefer
more.
four as well. I think this one is just slightly less funny. Like it's still funny. There's a lot of fun moments, such as the fucking chef thing with Freddy and whatnot. That was this movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
the chef thing
yeah.
and the fucking stupid drawing thing. I don't know. It's
Oh
there's
no,
some
I love that.
funny
Like the
stuff.
drawing, they use like crayon drawings or some shit to get to Freddy. It's
It's
so
so
funny.
stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. The general plot of this one, I don't vibe with as much. I'm pretty sure the idea for this one was originally going to be the idea for two or something. I remember hearing about this because when we were doing research on two, the idea was like Freddy was going to possess like a pregnant woman or something, and that
It's
was going to
such a
be like the
weird
whole thing.
concept. The
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
pregnant
Except
woman
this
thing
time they've
doesn't make
actually
any
brought that
sense.
concept into Elm Street 5, the Dream Child. So, you
Yeah.
know, I guess they use the idea. And it gives this movie this really strange vibe and atmosphere where it's like, what?
What is
Well,
it?
what are you
Yeah,
doing?
so the plot of this
I
movie
don't.
is that the main girl from the last movie is now pregnant with with a
Mhm.
baby, and I guess Freddy is trying to get to the main girl's dreams through the baby, which somehow works.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
So
any
something
fucking
like
sense.
that. Yeah. It just,
It's weird. This is honestly, pardon me, I might accidentally get this mixed up with the fourth one because these
no, no, I
movies are
agree.
very
Not like,
similar in terms of
no,
like
I get that. I've been like closely associate them
yeah,
too. So just, I don't know. Oh,
yeah.
Street Five's just an odd duck because I feel like those first four have such unique identities from each other. Not even that they're all good. I don't like Elm Street 2. They're so like, separated. And then this one just kind of blends in a little more. It's not even to diss it. I just don't think it has as strong like elements in terms of like laughs. I find this movie fun to be sure. I think it
Yeah.
has good elements and it carries over a lot of the elements the other movies do well. Like Robert England, as usual, totally hamming it up, totally like
Yeah.
killing it. He's doing great. The costume design and production still looks really good, even
Yeah.
as goofy as these movies get. They're still like committed to making it look good, and there's all that. But yeah, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I'm not
Yeah.
as into five personally,
Yeah, I think the
but
fourth one was kind of funnier with all the like stupid shit. But
I
this
think okay, I think five is more like stupid throughout, but four has like a bunch of bigger moments. Like when talking about four, I could be like, oh, there's the Freddy and his shades, like a bunch of other iconic moments. Like a lot of it, I think silly Elm Street. I think Elm Street for like moments, but this I don't think it's as much, which kind of
yeah, there's
is
some
more
there
of.
it has a couple of
Yeah, I
funny
think there's just
moments.
nothing though. There is bits that I do
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no,
but
I just
yeah.
don't think it like quite matches the similar things we've
No,
had.
no.
Like
Doesn't help that we have like similarly boring characters this time around.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's some funny
Uh,
shit, like the whole drawing segment where Freddy becomes absolutely jacked and beats the shit out of this one kid in the drawing, and then
that's my favorite part of the
slowly
movie. I
dies
love.
to death and gets ripped to pieces. It's both creative
Yeah,
and really fucking stupid. And that entire segment
yeah,
with like all that fucking drawing thing, and then the girl also draws her name on the drawing, and that somehow gets her inside it, and then she dies. It's a fucking it's all over the place, this
yeah,
movie. It's mostly just like, yeah, it's kind of similar with the story. It's like, um, I don't know. Not much really happens now that I think about it. Just kind of Freddy fucking with
No,
people.
no, not really.
It's like, yeah, that. Like, there's a scene where uh there's like where Freddy's a chef. Want to talk about that? Think of that scene.
Oh, yeah, I love that
Was
part.
that this movie? Was that was that
And
this
I think
movie?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Hold on.
uh, yeah.
Normally I'd call you out, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know. My favorite like singular bit is this is part where like our character is like driving on like a highway or whatever, and then
Oh,
he's about to
yeah.
crash, but then Freddy shows up, and it's like kind of reminds me of the bus set piece from two, but like more entertaining because of how wacky and
Yeah.
oddball it is. It's a great visual of it all,
Yeah.
and this is other part I'm trying to remember. Uh, where there's yeah, there's like the pool or whatever. That part's really
Oh,
weird.
yeah, the pool when someone attempts to like, I guess, dive into a pool and then Freddy just fucking kills them. It's
Yeah,
it's
classic Freddy.
well
Uh,
spot Freddy.
yeah,
Yeah, this
uh, yeah. I'm a little bit of a little more behind the scenes stuff like I did with one to four to see if there's anything that distinct about this one. This one has the shortest page out of all of them in terms of behind the scenes. So I think less is known about this movie or just a less interesting history. Looking here, apparently the original idea for this one was pitched during the pre-production on three. So I guess they had this idea cooking in the like for like a while, and I think it was because yeah, New Line Cinema's executive Sarah Risher was apparently pregnant at the time, which
oh,
is why the idea didn't happen then because she thought it was insensitive while she was pregnant to make a movie about this weird thing about Freddy possessing like a newborn child and whatnot.
yeah, so
But then apparently
coincidental.
after giving birth is when the idea was opened up to, and then the Dream Child started being developed in late 1988.
Yeah.
Uh, this is this is a side note, but I think around now was when Elm Street mania, I guess I'll call it, started to boom because after four, they kind of got into this role where these were all like it was an '80s slasher, so they got
Yeah.
like that successful role going, and
Uh-huh.
and then after this, they produced the TV spinoff, Freddy's Nightmares. Have you heard of this? Like,
No, no,
did
actually.
you?
What is this? Tell
Okay,
me.
so Freddy's Nightmares apparently was an anthology series based on like the Elm Street property. It got 44 episodes, and Robert Englund was like the host, and then it involved Freddy, but apparently it was supposed to be like spooky stories that took place on the titular Elm Street. At least what I'm
Huh.
looking through here. And I've
Strange
never
stuff.
seen the show, but it was like, yeah, it aired from October 1988 till March 1990. And Elm Street 5 came out in 1989, so I guess we're just right in the middle of it here. So there's that certainly. I guess this was like one of
Uh-huh.
the bigger eras for a Nightmare on Elm Street stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
This one
yeah.
definitely just kind of it feels like we're going through the motions a little more, I guess, to
Uh-huh.
say like with the
Yeah.
other ones. It's like,
The
oh,
whole thing with the dreams also doesn't make much sense because Freddy is just able to kill people when they're not sleeping, or are they sleep? They're very vague about it in this one, you know.
yeah, I don't know. They just
It's
kind of push it
yeah,
for the
like I
narrative.
meant,
I don't.
the girl dives into like a pool, and then like she appears in the dream then, and then Freddy attacks her with the main character Alice, and it's like it's a whole thing. The film just looks just this movie's just all over the place if I'm being honest, and it's not like it's
Yeah,
still pretty funny though. Like I said, the chef scene where Freddy forcefully shoves food into this grown woman's mouth until she like fucking dies. You know, that she
yeah.
just shoves in a bunch of guts, and it's
It's like the
terrible stuff.
Leprechaun 3 inflation kill, if you think about it.
You could say that, yeah. There's this one guy who's like a cartoon artist or something, and then like he ends up dying from fighting Freddy in like a drawing where he
Yeah,
where he just kind of like He seems like he wins, but then he comes back. Like I said, Super Jack beats the shit out of him. Uh, I don't know. The
Yeah.
delivery with that character specifically felt kind of off. And this movie just is.
The drawing bits in this movie I find really weird. I don't know about you, just like
Yeah.
I can't describe it. It just has this like odd feeling to it. I think they definitely crank up the absurdity as per usual with all these, and yeah, no, it creates some interesting results as to always. I think out of the 4 movies in this video, it's the least I have like to say on. I don't know about you,
Kind
but
of. It's like in the middle. It's like this and the last one, but yeah,
yeah.
I don't have
Well,
too much.
obviously 2010 I find a little more interesting than this because it's like a lot of wasted potential, but we'll get into that. We'll get
Yeah,
into
but then
that.
like for this movie, it's just kind of like it's more of the same. It's very similar to the fourth one to me. I wouldn't be surprised if you got them like mix up like I don't know. I'd say the last one is a bit more funnier. That's kind of it when it
Yeah,
comes
I
to
would
that.
agree on that
I see them
personally.
mostly as
Especially
the
considering I
same
had a lot
movie.
more like stuff to say about 4 than I did
Yeah, the
5.
only
So
thing that this has that different is that this movie has like has a baby. So basically the main girl's having a
yeah,
baby and then Freddy is trying to make him like him, but then he ends up fighting back. They get this nun to kill him. But Freddy always comes back, it's pretty
yeah.
stupid. Yeah, he just
Freddy's like
comes back
William
here.
Afton.
He
He
just
never truly
yeah, he
dies.
always comes Yeah, exactly. The guy in this movie, he's like this guy just always returns, Freddy. Like nothing could kill him. You think that I feel like
Yeah.
it make the most sense to kill him off in 3, but then he just somehow returns in 4 and it's the same thing here.
See, that's the thing about these movies. I don't quite understand what they go for with Freddy Krueger as a character. Because the thing is, right, all of them just, they have some big moment where you're supposed to kill Freddy. But kind of like with all slashers, it's ambiguous as to how he can even be killed or if he can. And it just becomes super weird. This is actually why I think New Nightmare works because in a completely separate continuity with separate rules,
Yes.
so it doesn't matter like as much. But now with these first 6, it's like, well, one, he comes back at the end, which I talked about how it like undermines that movie and it's annoying. In 2, it's just he's barely a presence in that movie. Freddy just kind of fucks around. And then I don't know, 3 tries to make it dramatic. And then with 4, I do actually appreciate it. In 4, they say he's killed, but like for real, for real. And they don't do like a, or is he? Blah, 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 at the end like the other ones do. They ended
Yeah,
off on that.
the
Like I said, I find it nice.
yeah.
But I don't know. And then 5, he's just back again. And it's like, I
He's
don't know.
back again and about time too. And
It feels
also,
mean to say we're going through the motions with a movie that clearly has so much creativity put into it. I can tell with these, like, especially I think since 3, these writers have had so much fun with their like movie,
yeah,
which you'll be able to tell when we get to the next movie,
yeah.
obviously.
Another
But you know,
another thing I'd like to mention is the scene where Freddy just takes control of a motorcycle and fucking crashes it somehow. Like, I'm not even
yeah, no,
sure how the dreams work in this movie. It's not elaborated upon well at all. And the fact that Freddy can somehow reach Alice through her baby's dreams doesn't make much sense at all.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't fucking know how
It's
Freddy's
really weird.
abilities work. I don't even think the writers know how Freddy's abilities work, let's be honest.
I would doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
Mhm.
just weird. They just like fuck around with him because like I don't know. I feel like they
Mhm.
do. I feel like the idea of doing something like wild and crazy with Freddy as a character, especially since the concept is him appearing in your dreams. So I feel like these movies like just go all out with that idea of just kind of fucking around in this fantasy type dream. The third film
Mhm.
also kind of does
Oh,
that.
okay.
I just think that one balanced it better and made it work well.
All right. Okay. I just found some interesting info.
Okay.
When looking at the Letterbox page, one of the writers for this film is named John Skip, and he doesn't have many writing credits. However, the one of the 2 other things he's written is a porno.
What?
He's not. Literally he's I fucking
Jeez.
Misty Beethoven the musical.
Jesus.
Literally just a
What?
porno. That's one of the other 2 things this writer has done.
Oh, okay.
I just find that interesting. Like really,
I guess that
And it was
explains why the
after this
opening
movie
shot
too,
of
which is
this
extra
movie is
funny.
this shot
Like he
from
made
a
an Elm
sex
Street
scene.
sequel and was like, "This is what I'm gonna do for my life." Like, and then some anthology movie after, but it's like,
Yeah.
sure. I don't. I don't know. In terms of writing credits, isn't even that interesting. People either. We got Stephen Hopkins, the director of Predator 2.
Yeah.
Wow,
Can
what an interesting movie that is. And
wow. What
I
an,
don't
yeah.
know. This other guy has nothing. Uh, the porno guy. I don't know.
That's a random thing to find. I just can't, like, honestly, would like to describe more about the characters, but honestly, I think the characters
Well,
are
there's not
like,
much character to describe. That's the thing. They're
yeah,
not like
exactly. There's this one
they're
guy.
purposely not in depth because it's not about them.
It's not
You
about
know,
it, yes. It's about
it's
the
not about
journey.
you. But you know, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the same, really. But yeah,
Oh
I don't
no.
know.
There's stuff
I really don't
like
think we have much to say. I don't want to drag this segment.
I don't know. Maybe there's some like yeah. I don't know. I don't hate the idea of like I guess Freddy trying to go into a child's dream. Maybe it doesn't make sense that it's an unborn child. So
Yeah,
uh,
like we said, the pregnancy logic, it's not hard to grasp what it means really, and why does Freddy want to attack this newborn child specifically? We don't really get that. It's
yeah, I guess
such an
there's
odd duck of a movie, really. I don't
yeah, I
quite
don't know.
grasp it.
I think there. I remember them being like this nun, right? There's like this nun who I think is like, I guess, what happens in the nun in this movie again? I kind of forgot
I don't know.
because
That
there's a nun in the
that bit
third
is
film,
really weird. But I
right?
know you're talking about. You like this like church scene? It's really odd.
It's fucking
Elm,
weird.
the Elm Street movies have a really weird connection with religion. That sounds weird, but we have like this, and there's like all the fucking religious imagery in 3. It's like the
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
what's
okay.
going
It's
on?
apparently it's the same nun from the third film. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I mean,
remember.
that's even weirder. Why do these movies have such a connection to religion and Jesus?
Yeah, and it's
What
like, and
happened?
it's revealed that the nun is fucking Freddy's mom who was raped. It's a pretty dark
Zoinks.
story, I guess, which I guess kind of
Wah,
explains
wah.
why Freddy turned to such a life of crime. Now his mother, I guess the spirit of the mother is trying to stop him again. So he does, she stops her, I guess.
Yeah.
And then don't worry, he disappears for now, but you know he returns because which they I guess kind of explain in Freddy's Dead, but it's done in a really funny way that it kind of like
Freddy's Dead arguably makes it make less sense once you get into it.
yeah,
So
it's fucking weird. I
odd.
think I remember like I don't know, like I feel like this movie, like I said, the fifth and fourth, they're so similar. They follow the same protagonist. This one is just like it's more of the same shit as the fourth one, except this time Freddy's except this time there's a baby. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the main conflict. And then I guess there's like this brief touch about people trying to take the kid away from Alice. Yeah, because I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember. There's some friends she has. They all die. One dies while
They're boring
yeah. One is a
too.
cartoonist who sounds like an older version of Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, which I don't know why. I don't know why. I just noticed that for some reason. Yeah.
You know, I can hear it now actually,
Yeah.
now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. There's this other girl who. All I remember about this one girl, she dies near the beginning where Freddy shoves a bunch of corpses. This movie just doesn't have as much funny moments as the last one. Feels like it's Freddy
yeah, I
kind
don't
of
know.
messing with people, which like sure the other films have a lot of that, but there was like grounded in some type of plot, you know, kind of.
Yeah, I would still give this one a heart because I still do enjoy it. To be clear, it
Yeah,
just
I had a decently fun time with it.
quite
Just
the same level
yeah, yeah,
as I've described.
yeah, I definitely think the fourth one is like the one of the funnier ones in this freaking franchise. But this one is still
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
definitely.
one is still a good laugh. Just I'd probably rather rewatch the last one in a lot of ways. But either
Yeah, to
way,
be honest, I agree.
yeah, I don't
So
know. The dialogue is awkward. I guess the kid acting isn't very good. It's I don't know. It's exactly what you would expect from a sequel to the last Elm Street movie you might have saw. So it's more of the same
Hmm.
stuff, and I don't think I really have anything else to say about it. Like I have a lot
Nah,
of
me
notes
neither.
I could say, but it's mostly just specific stupid stuff Freddy does. Like
Yeah, I already
even
outlined a
then,
lot of those, so
yeah.
I would like to move on and just give our ratings now.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, I don't know. Poor Freddy getting shot. Rep Freddy, even though
Rip
he will come
Freddy.
back in the next
For
one.
like the fifth time, Rip Freddy.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but
I'm giving Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, a 3 out of 10. It's still enjoyable. It gets that 3 with heart. Just, it's harder to talk about this one because I think it's very much in that same vibe as 4. And it's just a lot of, remember when that happened and that
I know
happened? It's really
it's like
that
that.
kind
And
of
the
thing.
last film, the next film also has some of that, but there's also like a fair share of stupid stuff that I find funny, regardless of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Anyways, I'm giving this one same rating, 3 out of 10. It's not very good, but I guess that will
Mhm.
lead us now to our next film, Freddy's
All right.
Dead,
Now,
which is
Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. I'm going to get into the history right away because I think there's some
yeah. I'm
interesting things to
actually
say
curious to
about
see
this.
what
All
you say
right.
here.
All right, so 5 movies in, right? Where you have a long, long trail here. New Line Cinema is like, okay, look, guys, we gotta move on. We've made like 5 damn Elm Street movies in like a little over like 6 years. We gotta put a stop to this. It's become too much. And people who were involved in New Line and like just filmmakers, they wanted to move on to other projects. We had other things they wanted to focus on. So they were like, you know what? Let's make one last Elm Street movie. There is one last Elm Street, and that last Elm Street was Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. They like wanted to like wrap it up, be like, well, literally they have Freddy's Dead in the title. I think they wanted to be like, he's
Yeah,
dead, guys.
for
We
real this
swear.
time.
Um,
Wink,
and
wink.
yeah, there's some other interesting production stuff. Apparently, it was inspired by David Lynch's Twin Peaks elements, like
Okay.
the surreal nature. Which honestly, I can kind of see. David Lynch is a wacky guy. I sort of see where that element came from. And yeah, then they made Freddy's Dead, Final Nightmare, which this film has had a reputation for a while. At least between my friends, they call it one of the most ironically enjoyable films ever made. And you know,
It's pretty funny.
I mean, that's true. I'm not even going to
It's
argue
really
that. It's a
funny. Yeah,
very funny
there's a lot of
movie.
funny,
Yeah.
stupid ass moments that just crack me
Yeah.
up. And
It's
the
not like I don't know. I think this movie knows what it's doing, so part of me like hesitates to say it's an ironically enjoyable movie because let's be honest, these set pieces are so fucking stupid and ridiculous. I think they knew this movie was silly, but you know what? You can say a lot of things about this movie. You cannot say they didn't end Nightmare on Elm Street on a wild note, and that's what Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare is. A
yeah,
wild conclusion to the first 6
yeah.
films.
Let's just
There's
start
no
off
Elm
with
Street
the.
continuity. So,
Sorry, let's just start off with
certainly
the
it's a good
opening
impression, I
of
guess, to
this
say that much.
movie.
That fucking opening is
Yeah, so
wild.
this random guy starts off. He's in a plane, and then he just kind of flies out of it.
Yep.
And it's revealed to be a dream, and then this guy just gets absolutely wrecked. He's in a house. It's like a Wizard of Oz parody briefly when he quotes the Wizard of
Yep.
Oz with the witch, and then the guy just like
They
gets
do the
run
Wizard
over
of
by
Oz
this
thing
guy
with
just
Freddy. It's
gets
so funny. I
yeah,
love
the
that part.
opening guy, this guy just beats endlessly, senselessly by Freddy. He just does a bunch of stupid shit from falling out of a plane, getting run over by like a bus or something, and then, and then the Wizard of Oz thing where he's in a fucking house, and then he just and then he gets yeeted out of the dream through a hole, and then he just appears on the sidewalk. So
Yeah.
I what?
A lot happens
Where the
during that
fuck was he
party.
sleeping?
Yeah.
He was sleeping before. What? since when could dreams do that? Dreams can't be that.
I
That
don't know.
doesn't make any
It
fucking
might be one of the
sense.
most elaborate individual dreams this series
Yeah, this
has
was a
had.
very elaborate plan
So
of
there's so
Freddy.
many different bits into that. Like the plane thing is already one thing, and then the Wizard of Oz, and then there. I don't know why I remember this specifically, but there's one really funny part where he's like tumbling down a hill, and it looks so
And it takes.
silly.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
See, he does that for like a whole fucking minute. He just tumbles down a hill. It's like a
yeah,
minute while the
and has the
credits are still
dramatic music
rolling.
like, "Whoa, he's tumbling down."
It's like 1 minute, and
It's
then after that, it gets run over by a bus. It's fucking ridiculous.
yeah,
You just
and
reminded
then
me of
that's
that
when the
part.
dream ends. After all those individual bits, it's
Yeah, and falling down a hill
yeah,
for like who knows how long, for a shockingly long amount of time, and then he
yeah.
just gets on the sidewalk, and he has amnesia now, and he has no idea
Mhm.
who he is, and we the audience don't even really know who he is either. So like he's just kind of
No.
some guy.
The movie opens with like a dream, so we don't even know who this guy we're following is. We
I
just know
think
he's a
he's
guy.
a part of a heritage to Elm Street as well, I guess, and they go back
Well, he
to
lives on the titular Elm Street. That's why our
yeah.
conflict even
But at this
starts.
point, Freddy's just killing people. He doesn't even care that they're from Elm Street. Like, look at the last movie. No one was from Elm Street in the last movie who ended up dying. At this point, Freddy's just having some fun. You know, he's just
Yeah, I don't even think Freddy has like motives anymore. Like, used to be about like revenge, but I don't even know who's getting revenge on at this
yeah. What's
point.
hap- What's Freddy's deal nowadays? You know, I don't really
I think his deal is a sense of humor.
a sense of
That's what I
humor.
think
Yeah,
his
that's a
deal
good
is.
way to describe it. Yeah.
Such a wacky guy in this movie specifically. He does like really. I think Freddy's goal in this movie is just to fuck with people. There's so
Yeah, that's
much
his main
like
motivation.
yeah.
He
He,
he acts more
you
like
know, I
an
guess this
internet
like
troll than like an actual
yeah.
thief.
But I think
Like
this
monster.
movie wants to be a little more grandiloquent because they're like, we gotta kill Freddy once
Finally.
and for all.
Yeah,
Bah, bah,
and literally
bah.
he dies in the same way he should have in the first movie. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, no, he
Like
does.
it doesn't make any fucking sense. So like yeah, nothing. I don't know. You can't kill Freddy. This is Nancy literally did the same thing in the last movie, and it didn't even work. So like,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
doesn't. So like,
But
they
this
doing
time
it
he
again. You
really
know,
kills him.
this time we really kill him
Yeah,
by doing the exact same thing the main character did in the first movie, and that not
yeah,
working, but it works now apparently. So yeah. Anyways, the movie follows
yeah,
like a therapist or something, a psychiatrist, and then like three kids in this like nursing home or something or whatever the hell it is. This for kids, I
yeah.
guess. And then like these patients all sneak onto this bus with this one guy who was in the opening who has amnesia. And they go to Elm Street because the guy had this like note in his pocket that like said, "Ooh, something happened at Elm Street. You must go there." And then they just kind of investigate the place, and it leads to the guy thinking he's Freddy's son, I guess,
Yeah.
because he's still alive or something. It doesn't make much
I don't
sense.
know.
He just assumes
Freddy
he's
having
Freddy's.
a son implies Freddy Krueger has had sex, which that doesn't seem
Yeah,
canon.
that doesn't sound. That sounds weird. Yeah, that's a yes. Oh yeah, it's revealed Freddy has a kid, which at
Yeah,
first
she has like a daughter, right? That's what they.
yeah, daughter. Originally, the
Yeah,
guy thought it was his
it's weird.
son.
I think it's trying to make the story more personal, adding this family dynamic where it's like you gotta kill your dad or something to like really solve it. And I guess I don't know. Freddy was like a bad parent with no shit he was, but you know, I don't know. I think it's mainly where the movie falls flat for me because in something so ridiculous and stupid as this, trying to gear it in with that like main story, I don't think works very well. Like, really, is this the movie that's gonna try and do that? Like, come on,
Yeah,
you're not that.
there's
But I
literally
will say, on the actual front, the kills, the set pieces, this has my favorite in the entire franchise. There's a lot good
yeah,
with
like there's this one kid
with
who
what
has like a
specifically.
gang
I
of
love
effect, and he has hearing issues, and Freddy uses his hearing
Oh yeah,
aid.
no, it's so funny. He, like his main thing is he's gonna impair him by dropping like needles or whatever, and then he keeps scratching this
This
chalkboard, and then
chalkboard.
yeah,
He basically makes
that's
his
how he
head
gets him.
his
He keeps
he
scratching the
dies because he
chalkboard.
just
Like,
keeps ruining his ears that end up killing him. or something.
Yeah.
And then there's like this awful sound quality with it. It's just a mess. It's so stupid. Yeah, I don't know why he's trying to kill someone with his ear. Just the face he's making makes it look like he's just trolling him. And it's the face that someone makes when they're like trolling someone, not like when they're killing someone. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's so weird.
Oh, I also have that part later where Freddy uses the NES peripheral, the Power Glove, to
Oh my
control this
god,
guy
this
who's
guy
in like
who
the
is
game.
stoned and is
And for
like,
some reason, it's playing a 60s, 70s rock song, Inagata Davida, which gives this really, really weird vibe where it's like, what's happening? And then it's like inside a video game or
it's
whatever.
fucking
It's
ridiculous.
just
That part is
so,
just insane. And it's
so
all while
weird,
this
but that part's
guy
so
thinks it's
funny.
like a drug trip or something. It's
It confirms the existence of Gamer Freddy, though.
yeah.
So it gets that.
Yeah, and
But,
then they take away his video game console by the end of it. But the guy still dies anyway. And
right.
yeah.
So. Did it?
Yeah. I don't really understand why the main guy. What's his name? What's the main guy? I think his name is John or something. I don't remember. But like whoever he is, the guy is like thinks he's Freddy's son. Because
Yeah.
because I guess he has amnesia, and they end up going to the town, and all the adults have gone insane because their children all keep getting murdered by Freddy. So Freddy just
Yeah.
massacred everyone in
Well,
the
the one
town,
part
I
where they go
guess.
to like the school and there's this one teacher who's just completely unhinged.
Yeah,
It's
he's just
so funny.
explaining Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street lore.
Running the Freddy one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know. And then Freddy also like appears in this this TV show before the guy gets stoned. And then he ends up being played like a video game character. And then
Yeah.
the guy who thinks he's Freddy's son like falls from the sky, and then Freddy says, "You really think I'm your father?" And then he just fucking dies afterwards. And
Yeah.
what's funny is that the only reason he fell asleep in the first place was to, I'm pretty sure, save someone else. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, because he thinks Freddy won't hurt him because he's just so sure that they're family for some inexplicable reason. Because it's revealed Freddy has a
Well,
son,
because
and
Freddy's
he
just
thinks,
such a nice guy, He would never hurt him.
yeah,
Never.
yeah, he just thinks it's his father, I guess, because I don't know. I think he just sees some shit and he was like, "Hey, that must be me because I don't remember shit, and he's just messing with me. So I must be his father because I know I came from Elm
Yeah,
Street."
exactly.
So yeah, two and two together, and he gets really sure about it soon to the point where that leads to him to die.
Yeah.
So I guess that happens. So yeah, and also they introduced the fucking reason why Freddy is able to travel in dreams by apparently it's these things called the dream demons who gave Freddy the power to travel into dreams because he was just so evil that the dream demons decided to give him this power. So that's
Yeah.
that's
Good on them, I
that's
guess.
kind of stupid if I'm being honest. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's such a stupid concept. Like I don't know. It feels like that's what a kid would make up for it. It was like these
Mhm.
dream demons, and then like they gave him powers, and that's why. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really dumb that just made thing. It's stupid. This movie is so dumb.
Yeah. I think the thing with this movie, it just does not let up, which I appreciate. Like the other movies have moments where they have lows, and this one has like a few where mainly just the beginning where they're like setting up our characters and the adventure they're going on. Because like with tradition with Elm Street, I don't care about these guys. They have I don't know. I find what they do with them funny because they're like really just the victims of Freddy in this and his like wacky shit, which is funny. But as actual people, they're boring. Even if they try to give them these connections to Freddy,
Yeah.
it's like
Uh-huh.
But like what I'm really this has the most consistent pace out of all these Freddy movies. Like it's never letting up with either something wacky happening at the house or Freddy doing something or like another kill or something. It just has a bunch of stuff, and I appreciate that. Especially considering Robert Englund, as always, is hamming it up as Freddy. He's like, I think he accepted it a while ago, but he's like fully aware these movies are just dumb. They're not high art, but they are high entertainment.
He's just fucking around, just having the time of his
Yeah,
life.
he
in
really
this role.
puts his all into it, which I appreciate. He does a really good job.
Yeah, in all of these
And
movies, I'd say.
you know,
So,
I agree. He does really good in all these.
yeah,
It's
and then,
neat.
I remember a bunch of kids just die, and then they have to fight Freddy in the climax, and then and then I think his daughter sees these childhood memories of Freddy in his life, how he got abducted by the dream demons, how he was bullied as a child to be a weird, look, basically he was a psycho, okay, and people hated him, and he was a loser, and he was a nerd. Okay, maybe he wasn't a nerd, but he looked like one. No, no offense to the kid who played him, but yeah. And then Freddy even killed his own wife because she found out that Freddy was a child murderer, and then Freddy's daughter was taken to a childhood away from him. And then Freddy died, and then the rest. So, yeah, I don't know. It's fucking weird. It's such a stupid idea with Freddy having like a daughter, and then he tries to I guess, get her to continue the legacy or something. But I don't know. But at the same time, they still fight, and that's what happens. That's what happens.
Yeah. What a conclusion that was.
Yeah.
It's a,
And they basically Basically,
Mhm.
like I said, they finish Freddy the same way as the first movie with them bringing him into the real world and then just beating the crap out of him, and he ends up dying from his own knife hands by his daughter, and then it ends with the main character saying Freddy's dead, and then the credits roll,
Mhm.
and that was the movie, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Oh,
really,
yeah.
it's a really stupid movie. The characters are really
Yeah.
dumb, and the concepts are really wacky and weird with
Yeah.
the video game shit. I like how in the video game
Fun
the guy
fact,
is forced to fight the guy in the video game is forced to fight his own father in some pixelated form, all while Freddy controls
yeah,
him,
it's so
while the guy
weird.
just
Like
awkwardly
the visual was like
bounces
you ever
around
just
the
do an
house.
8-bit thing and then like really just cut out him standing there. It's like
It's so weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. So, to look up a little more about this movie, I looking at the behind the scenes again. Apparently, the last 10 minutes of this film, in theaters were in 3D. Like it wasn't a full 3D movie like today, but the last 10 minutes were. And in order to cue the audience to put on 3D
Okay,
glasses,
so that explains the look
apart-
of the dream demons. That explains that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why apparently there's going to be a cue by the audience to put their 3D glasses on, which I think would be underwhelming. Like, why would you even have them if you're just going to do it for like 10 minutes of the movie? This didn't last. The effect obviously could not work on VHS, Blu-ray, or DVD formats, except for apparently. This is weird. Apparently, this movie was on Laserdisc, so it was on the Laserdisc version. They got that. Some DVD copies kept the 3D. So some versions of this movie, you could watch it in like 3D, but really, I don't think it would add much. Like, what? Are you gonna check the 1999 DVD release of Freddy's Dead in order to get those couple minutes of 3D? I don't think it changes much. And apparently, according to the Wikipedia, while the film was being processed in 3D, the area where they were being developing the 3D print was accidentally sent a unreleased clip of Terminator 2, which because this was like a couple months before the movie came out, and I guess they were being developed around the same time in same area. So that says something certainly. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's all the history about Freddy's Dead. As I went over here, there's like our big ending for it, and there's that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
what a
another one of the
what a
funniest
ride
scenes.
these
I don't know
movies
if I
truly
mentioned. I
have
did
been.
briefly mention Freddy like just interrupting like a cooking show and flecking the guy with a frying pan, and then it just like becomes a whole drug trip thing, and then the guy just gets absorbed into TV with some like hilarious looking CG. It's so funny. I don't know. All the fucking cartoon ass sound effects with all the stupid bouncing in the video game scene, which is like probably the biggest, like most campiest, wild scene in the movie,
Mhm.
with Freddy just being like mocked by a bunch of people. And then there's the other scene where like, Freddy just kind of names how so apparently another reason why Freddy just can't is always coming back is that the dream demons just revive him, which is just what
Yeah, no, they do that, but it's like, why? I
yeah.
don't get it.
Also, even if
And
you kill
it
him
just
in
kind
the
of
real
undermines
world,
all of the
can't
rest
the
of the movie. Because, like, well, it doesn't mean anything if he's gonna get revived every time.
yeah, even then
What?
even then, I feel like even if Freddy dies in the real world, I feel like it would still like the dream demons could probably still revive him, right? Like, you know, yeah, I feel like him in the real
Yeah,
world should
and see,
still
well,
not make the
I guess it's
difference.
just the faith in the audience that this would be the final movie, and it was for 3 years. Even like New Nightmare, that's like an entirely
That's
separate
an entire
continuity. So
separate
this is
thing,
the
yeah.
end of the like Elm Street timeline we've been following for like 6 movies at this point. But I
Yeah.
don't know. It's kind of under this movie wants to have like a big ending. It's like, well, what if it isn't? Like, what tells us the dream demons won't bring him back again?
Exactly. There's
You
no
know?
reason why they should not be able to bring him back. Like they could easily bring him back. I don't know why wouldn't they
Exactly.
be able
What
to?
makes this time different is the thing. It's like, well, we don't know that. It's weird.
Well, counts. It doesn't make sense. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly. I will say this movie really wants you to feel like it's the end. Like Freddy literally explodes at the end. So there's that in
there's
this really
that.
stupid visual where like his head goes up to the screen and there's like this explosion in the background. It looks really bad, but
Yeah.
it, yeah.
It's just I don't know like the
Yeah,
freaking
and then they play the credits. They have like clips of all the previous movies over them. They really want to make you feel like this is a big journey we've went on. All 6 of these Nightmare on Elm Street films, which
yeah. And it ends with a
yeah,
bunch of random characters from like like the kids nursing home thing, or whatever, whatever it's called.
yeah.
Just like fighting against Freddy. That's how this franchise ends, and also being revealed that Freddy has a daughter. So I guess that was the best conclusion they could have thought of when it came to concluding this franchise. So that's what happened with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's
Suppose so.
yeah, like I guess that's the best thing. Honestly, this movie, now that I think about it, not much even really happens in this movie's plot. It's mostly just the main
Well,
characters
they
being
like set up the place. They drive to the place, and then at the place, things like happen. That's
and
essentially
then they
it.
end up going back near the climax with apparently everyone
You know,
forgetting
if you
that
think
they
about it, it's kind of like House.
huh.
It kind of like they all go on this like quest to go to this house.
Man,
And all the house is when everything that goes wrong. It's like House.
I guess so. Maybe. You can make a
Hmm.
case for that. So
I think I will make a case for that. But
yeah, I don't know. And there's also like yeah, so they come back and then the doctor, I guess, the doctor character I guess somehow remembers the existence of the children despite everyone else forgetting their existence, and then like yeah, and then they decide to stop Freddy by getting him into the real world, and that works even though yeah, and honestly, the film doesn't even feel like it takes place in the same continuity as the other ones, which is weird because it's trying to be some big conclusion. So
yeah, exactly. It's
yeah,
it's weird. This entire movie just has this like extremely odd vibe to it as we've like gone over. And you know what? It definitely pays off. This is the most well, I like one and what we're about to talk about more, but it has like the out of the sequels, I think it's the most entertaining. But like,
yeah,
you know,
uh huh,
it's a It's just still so weird. But you know,
Such a weird way to end it, but I have a blast watching this movie. It's easily the funniest of all the
um,
them. Like just everything with the characters, the stupid daughter plot with Freddy, with like all the stupid flashbacks, cheesy acting and dialogue. It's just like it combines everything from the 4 and 5 campy shit and just cranks it up as high as it can. So definitely nails that
exactly.
well. So yeah, New Nightmare's an iconic classic. I actually saw this movie before I saw the other Elm Street sequels in like a watch party like a year ago.
Yeah, no,
So
I remember that we did that watch party with
yeah, and
like
I just thought it
friends
was
and
like
whatnot.
really weird. To be honest, you don't even really need to watch the other sequels to like understand what's
Honestly, I would
happening
think
in
that for
this
most
one.
of these sequels, except for like three, a lot of them are disconnected. They're just
Yeah.
what Freddy's up to again, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I feel like
ooh.
3 definitely feels like the most direct sequel to the first film.
Yeah,
So
well, it has the original actor back and
yeah,
everything,
that's kind
so
of the main reason why
obviously
it's
there's
connected
that.
to the
But
first one. And as for like the other ones, they're like loosely connected. Like 4 and 5 take place in the same universe as the first one. It's implied that. I don't even know where the hell the second one fits anymore. It just feels like that random side adventure that they forgot about.
yeah,
Yeah, because like
two is like I don't even think they even played two in the credits because I don't even remember
I
them
don't
like calling
remember. I
back.
don't know. Two was just a random thing that happened. Even like this one, like while it feels a little disconnected from the last two, it feels like at least that the frickin' it feels more connected to the other films than two does, if I'm being honest. Because two just like
Yeah,
it feels
well,
very
I'd agree because
obvious.
this one actually calls back to them and like it feels more Elm Street deliberately because they have more of the,
Yeah, even though the
the
cast of
hallmarks and
characters are
everything.
completely different now once again for the fourth time for
Exactly.
like the fourth time. So yeah, overall this movie's pretty funny, had a good time with it, and I think I'm ready to get
Yeah.
into my ratings, you know?
Oh yeah, we can get into our ratings now. I would give this a three, but definitely a lower three than 4 and 5 because it's noticeably more stupid,
Yeah,
but it is
same.
also noticeably more fun, so it balances out. A
Yeah,
low
I'll
three out of
also give it a
ten.
3. I think like yeah, as for the characters themselves, I know we didn't really mention a lot of them, but like they're just kind of funny.
They're
Like I like all
boring.
the I don't know. I thought the situations they were in were kind of funny.
But yeah, no, it's not even about the characters themselves, just what they get up to because of
Yeah, like the
Freddy.
super
But
stoner
yeah,
kid, the girl who knows karate and had complicated relationships with her weird ass father, and then there's just Freddy's
mhm.
daughter, and then there's the guy who thinks he's Freddy's son. I don't know. It's just a stupid cast of characters in a stupid movie. So that's the best way we can
Mhm.
describe that part of the film. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm ready to move
All
on
right.
to the next film, which is very different because it's
All right.
actually a
Yeah.
pretty great movie.
New Nightmare, 1994.
Yeah,
So get back into the swing of it here. So you might think, all right, the Freddy's dead. That has to be the last Elm Street movie. It's called Freddy's Dead. It's the final nightmare. And to answer that, you're right. It is in the original continuity because basically, the film Nightmare on Elm Street, the franchise at this point was at its 10-year anniversary. This is 1994 after the first film came out in 84. We had this is like the 10-year of Elm Street, and from what I'm gathering, they made this
yeah,
as a
something like that.
10-year anniversary film to be like, all right, and Craven, he wanted to go a noticeably different route with it because he was like, all right, all these movies, they've been like silly and comical and whatnot. Freddy isn't even supposed to be scary anymore. He's a joke. And then Craven was like, all right, how about we make a movie where Freddy Krueger is a little more like the
Yeah,
spooky thing we came up with. And then eventually he came up with the more meta idea, which is where like mm, the whole thing came into it.
hmm,
And I think he wanted it to be more like the first film. He asked Johnny Depp to show up, who famously almost started his career with Elm Street 1. There were scheduling conflicts, pretty sure, so like he wasn't able to get
I had a
into it.
feeling. I was wondering why he wasn't in the movie because like it was
Well,
one
yeah,
of
because I
the.
think he had other stuff around this time. He was doing all those Burton movies like Ed Wood
Yeah,
and whatnot.
that probably
Which,
explains it.
yeah, but then point is, we got into New Nightmare, which takes a completely different approach. Where in this movie, Elm Streets 1 to 6 are films within the universe of New Nightmare, where we're instead of following Nancy, we're following her
Her
actor
actor Heather
Heather
Langenkamp.
Langenkamp,
Yes,
and instead, and she's like, she's talking about she gotta find her career
Nightmare on Elm
so
Street and
after
whatnot.
the 6 Elm Street movies, and she's got into her own, doing her own projects, but then some mystery comes into it because
Yeah,
like is then there's like people are having nightmares and deaths are happening in the real world, and it's like, is Freddy Krueger alive? Brr, brr, brr.
is Freddy
And I think
real
this movie fucking
IRL?
rocks personally. I really like this one.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
really
know about
like
you,
the
but
meta turn here, mainly because, unlike, I criticize meta stuff a lot, like a
oh, I.
whole lot. I hate
Mhm.
so many modern meta stuff, like the fucking Chip and Dale shit, the new Scream movies, modern
Our
Rick and
first episode of the
Morty.
podcast was about Matrix 4, which is
That's
inherently
another
meta.
great example. But yeah, I hate a lot of modern meta stuff. But this isn't a modern one. This is like an older one, and it doesn't really like this. It doesn't do
Well, see,
anything to
here's the thing.
disrespect anyone
A lot of meta feels like it comes out of a distaste
for the
for
source
the
material.
actual,
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of
yeah.
meta is like, wow, we're gonna make fun of this,
It's
but
just
this isn't
very
even like
annoying and
about that.
smug.
This movie has such a love and such an appreciation for Elm Street as a franchise,
Yeah,
and I think, well, see, this movie was directed by Cravening, as we said.
yeah.
Wes, he
Wes
finally comes
decided to
back after 10
return.
years to do another Elm Street, which I think you can tell because 2 years after he did New Nightmare, he did the original Scream, which is one of them, which kind of popularized meta in horror. So it's like,
So I
oh,
guess he was kind of
I guess it
familiar
makes
with
sense.
that more.
Wes was kind of one of the first people to really do meta in this way, which I guess is why he took off so much. But yeah, no, it was he does good in this because there's like such this respect and love for Elm Street as a franchise because they know what makes these movies fun and what makes them interesting, and it tries to be more suspenseful, but it doesn't lose sight of the more silly aspects, and it creates this really good balance that I really like in this movie. I think it's just really cool, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think, yeah, so the interesting about this movie is it rather focuses, like we said, on the actors of the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie. There's Robert Englund playing himself, and also the Freddy version of Freddy Krueger in this movie. Wes
yeah. Apparently
Craven
in the
stars
credits,
himself in like a
yeah,
scene.
apparently in the credits for this movie, Freddy Krueger is credited as being played by himself, which I just saw. That's funny.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
Freddy Krueger as himself. How
Yeah,
about that?
that's a nice detail. And the movie has like a lot
Yeah.
of cool stuff. Like I like how the opening scene revolves like a mechanical accident with
Oh
the
yeah, I love
they
that
use
part.
in the
That part's so
scene.
well done.
That's a cool way to
Yeah,
open it with that type of
yeah, I
nightmare.
really like that. I really like the first beginning because it looks like, all right, we got up with another spooky dooky Freddy scene, and then you hear like cut, and it's like, oh, they're just making a movie. This isn't anything. It's like, oh, that's clever. It's like,
Yeah,
woo, it's a movie within a movie. Whoa,
it's like I'm in the
and
movie. Yeah.
our approach creates this really good suspense to this movie because
Yeah.
I think out of all these movies, this is probably the most slow, but it's by design. This movie's like a slow burn,
Yeah, it's
I would
also the
describe it. Where
longest
it's,
Elm Street movie, so there's
yeah,
also
yeah, and
that.
it's all of it is focused on crafting this really good tension where it's like, okay, before these, obviously Freddy's taken more seriously in this movie, but it's not even that. It's like, you're for a lot of it, you're wondering, okay, are kills actually happening, or are our characters just imagining horror shit? Are they going
Yeah.
insane?
Yeah, what's
If you
happening?
establish, oh,
Yeah,
Freddy's
there's a
not
nice
real, he's just a
mystery.
character. But you don't know immediately, is Freddy going into this world, or are our characters just manifesting like these like dreams and stuff that like has Freddy in them. You
Yeah.
don't know if Freddy's actually causing anything until a good portion into the movie, and I think that's really scary because it's like for all we know, the character could just be insane, and Freddy didn't even do anything. But
Yeah.
or did he? It's like so cool, damn
Yeah,
it!
I really
It's
like
such a
this scene where like we see Freddy's claw coming through a car seat and killing Heather's wife, husband. What the fuck I said wife? What's wrong with me? Yes, husband. And it's like a really interesting scene. You know, it's a really tension heavy. The score is good, and then he crashes, and that's like the first real kill of the movie that nicely sets up this type of mystery they're building up with what is happening here. And it's kind of told to us throughout the story of this being this kind of manifestation of the character of Freddy Krueger, with it like being this force that has taken off this type of Freddy Krueger's form in the stories of artists, and it's like taken the form of Freddy in some way, and it's been trapped in the Elm Street movies, and is now like awakening from it. You know. Uh,
Yeah, I think they do a better job of actually caring about the people in this movie, which I haven't felt care for since like one or three.
Three
Because
is kind of like like
yeah,
you kind of
I
have to
think the
know.
main benefit of this movie is one, focusing on like the actor of Nancy. I think it's an interesting direction, but also you're able to care more because in these, it's kind of the nature of the slasher genre. You set up all these like teens or whatever just to be like, oh, they're all gonna die, woo!
Yeah,
But
that's what most of
you
these
don't
movies do.
care about them. They aren't
Yeah.
developed,
That's an
which we've
issue
gone
with a
over
lot
in
of
like
horror movies, if I'm being honest.
yeah, well, that's like it's just like it's kind of a staple of the horror genre. You have these idiots who just kind of lined up so they could die. It's
This
like
is let me
I think that's
just
the
let me
part of
show
the
a good
appeal for a
example
lot
of
of
this,
people.
which is kind of like a weird example I know, especially they compare to a real horror franchise. But I saw earlier this year the fucking terrible Winnie the Pooh movie, and I feel like what annoyed me about that film is that the film was literally just kind of like it had like no attempt at interesting characters. Spoilers, if you care about spoilers for a fucking Winnie the Pooh horror film, I don't know why you would. But all of the characters, basically
Yeah,
all
I
the
don't know.
characters end up dying by the end. And they had like barely any
Yeah,
development. They were all just pieces of bricks to be killed by the killer. And I feel like that's just like kind of lame. I don't find that interesting in horror movies. I'd rather like care about them, so that way the kills feel much more impactful when they occur. And I think this film does a good job at that.
exactly.
So yeah,
Hmm.
it's an annoying trope I find in some horror movies that like sink them down in a lot of ways. And I think like this
Hmm.
movie doesn't have that. I think I really buy the
Well, this movie doesn't
relationship.
have that because notably, we only have one main character to focus on, which, like I said, is the actress behind Nancy. And because this movie's longer and it doesn't have these other characters to just set up, we have time. First of all, we get her situation. She's a successful actress at this point, and she's kind of tied a bit behind. Oh, she was in this big slasher franchise, which you get by that really. I don't know if you noticed that interview scene is so weird because
Yeah.
where they do the interview, but then Robert Englund
It's the
shows up and
actual
the
Robert
interview
Englund and
person
like
asks
the
me such
actually looking
fucking
like
weird questions. Did you notice that? That's such an odd scene where they keep jumping between these weird questions. But anyway,
yeah.
so we get that, and we establish her relationship with her
Her son,
son,
yeah, like
which
I think
yeah,
it's
which I
this
don't know if
I
that was
like that.
actually. I don't know if her actress actually has a child or if that actually played
Yeah,
into
I
it
don't
or
really
anything.
know. I know the
But
actor who
oh no,
plays
no,
the
but
kid
it's
isn't
sweet. It was a
actually like um
nice child. It's
yeah.
wholesome and whatnot. And then you get like a good attachment there, which these movies don't usually have. Also her husband dies, which that
Yeah, like I
apparently
said
got too
earlier. Yeah.
in such
Um
a which like but that seems a really good scene, but when we got to that part, I was like, Jesus Christ, this franchise has had so many funeral scenes.
oh my
These
god,
movies
you're
are
right.
obsessed.
Even the film after this has another funeral scene because so many people
These movies
die.
are obsessed with having funerals.
It's
Like
a
I can't take it
dangerous
anymore.
obsession. mean, I understand that Freddy kills a lot of people,
I get it
so they
because the
have to
characters
have.
die. You have to show the aftermath, but still,
I swear, the
like,
third
come
film
on.
had like 5 funerals. There were so many fucking
I
funerals.
know,
I felt
right? It
like.
was so many,
Same with the
but
fourth one. God, there's so many funerals. Fuck.
yeah,
Even this one has it.
but
There's only like one funeral. Is there? Yeah, there's like one funeral scene. Because Freddy doesn't
mhm.
really do much in this movie. Like Freddy,
Exactly. Well, in
because
this
I
one,
think
he
what
doesn't do
makes him
much,
more
but
intimidating because you don't even really know if he's like a real thing. Like for all we know, by the end of the movie, this could have all just been some sort of like
yeah. The
mystery, you know?
actual like end bit, I'm a little unsure on when like so the actual ending of the movie they get like the actress gets like a letter from a Wes Craven that's like uh it's weird. He's like this is one last like Freddy adventure or
And
something,
it's
and it's
basically the
really
movie
weird
we
because I'm
just
not quite
watched.
sure what that implies. I
Yeah,
guess it leaves it a little more open
yeah, it's a
ended,
bit
but
it doesn't. It's kind of confusing, but not like in the way where it
yeah, I don't
doesn't.
entirely. That's like my least favorite aspect of the movie. Some of that I'm like, well.
I don't really
I don't
fully
entirely get what
understand
you
it when it
did.
comes with the Freddy like stuff and whatnot, with the whole thing being like by the end of it, like, and then it comes to mind. It's like, was this a movie? Was this a story? What the fuck was this movie exactly?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It's
It's
weird.
not like a huge issue. It's just kind of like a question that looms in your mind that you don't fully
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, I don't know. But I will say, it like before, I appreciate they don't end with a he's dead or is he? Brr, brr, brr. Which I guess would be weird in this movie because they're like real people. You can't do
Yeah, yeah,
that.
that
But
would just be kind of weird.
it's a need. I like it a lot.
Yeah, like with
Uh,
Heather and her son just go to this like hell hole where the Freddy knockoff guy is just kind of there, and then it's like a nice fight scene and whatnot, you know. I
yeah,
think
oh
the
yeah, that
relation,
climax, the visuals of that part are really cool.
yeah, the set is
That whole
cool.
end.
I
Like,
think the
mhm.
very few scenes Freddy has is good, like the entire hospital segment, which like somewhat recreates the scene from the first movie, but like in the IRL, I guess. But like depending on that
Mm,
scene, it also just like adds to the unsureness of if this whole thing is real, because like how would if the thing isn't real, then how did the girl in the hospital die, you know? But like I don't know what the
mhm.
film's implying there, but that's not like that's not like a thing that I think doesn't make sense. It's just something I'm not sure about. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like still a cool little thing to wrap things up, I'd say. And
Yeah.
yeah,
This one feels kind of more like Freddy's Dead was like a funny conclusion, but I think this is like it's a more nice conclusion to this franchise doing a self-referential thing. Really feels like in a way a tribute to Elm Street as a franchise, which I like a lot.
yeah.
Sadly though, looking here, did not pay off because this is the lowest performing Elm Street film of the
Oh
time it made
damn,
money.
that sucks.
It is speculated that it was because it opened the same weekend as Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
Oh
So that might have damaged it because that was a really big cult
yeah.
hit at the time. Definitely built up some steam. But critically, people liked it well enough. They didn't just hated it, but Roger Ebert said it was pretty great. Who hated the other movies? So there's that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
kind
What? Yeah. Craven is also playing himself in this movie in one scene where he basically kind of
yeah, I noticed that. Did you get
describes
on that?
his movie idea with the whole like Force guy taking over as Freddy and whatnot, which is like which I guess
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense, but you know I can understand it being a
Mhm.
bit confusing to some people by the end, but it's not like
Yeah.
I don't know. The ending
The
of
weird
this
thing
movie
though,
is like a nice way to end
mhm.
things, but I'm not really
Yeah,
sure what the film's trying to do. Is it like was the whole thing just a movie? Was it real? Because
it leaves it up to interpretation.
something like that. Yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
how I somewhat saw
Yeah.
it, at least.
Well, I will
So,
say I might be going on a conspiracy theorist here, but I think the reason this movie is as different as it is literally because Wes Craven. I talked about this in part one, if you can remember. But I remember I mentioned Wes Craven does not like making horror movies that much. He
uh,
much preferred making like I thought he wanted to
Oh
make
yeah,
a
yeah, I remember you saying
romance
this.
movies most of the time, which is why you'll see those sprinkled into his later career. But see, my theory is I think Wes Craven he didn't like making horror movies. So he's like, you know what? If I'm gonna make a horror movie, I'm gonna make it weird and experimental like this. Which is why New Nightmare is so experimental, and why Scream is a commentary on horror in of itself. That's just a theory I have. I don't know if I could back that up, but that's my
Yeah.
personal note. To use as a
Remember when Scream was
experience.
just made? Remember, speaking of Scream, remember when that franchise was just kind of lightly poking fun at horror tropes instead of just trying to piss off the, instead of just commentating on film itself, instead of just horror by like saying, by having
Yeah,
that one annoying. They're making a new Scream movie. I don't know. I think I read somewhere that the new one's gonna be like Christmas related or something. I
ooh,
think
Anthony, can we talk about Scream 7?
maybe. I don't know. We haven't talked about the other
Yippee!
ones.
And we can get Josh on it, because he loves talking about Scream 5.
Maybe.
Uh, maybe. But anyway, I think we've talked a good hefty amount about New Nightmare. You got more specifics, or I think we ran over
I just
pretty
think the
well.
film is done really well. I'd say the acting's good. I like the entire like hospital segment and all the mystery and whatnot with all the like
Yeah, that was really
weird
well done.
activity
All
going
of it.
on with like the main character's son and how that all builds tension to the real reveal of Freddy and how it all ends with that type of interpretation ending. It's a very interesting and enjoyable film with all the throughout it,
Mhm.
It's like a slow burner in age in places, but it's done in a good way, Everything feels meaningful in terms of building tension. And it kind of is like a good way of like bringing it back to the stuff from the first film, which I think is a good way of like someone commentating on it in some way. And not really, the not really like commentating in like a way where it's like making fun of the franchise. It's rather like trying to pay tribute to it.
Mhm.
So in a lot of ways, by kind of like
Mm.
going back to basics and making Freddy seem more like an intimidating foe by making him like basically this actual living
Mm.
demon who is like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I find it interesting, and the performances are good.
Mhm.
The characters do a good. The actors do a good job playing themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know there's
I have to
other.
agree
So
on
not
that.
everyone in this movie is playing themselves. I know that, but regardless, it's like it's
Hmm.
cool. Any behind the scenes things you'd like to
I
mention here?
mentioned a good chunk of it just to lead up to it. Apparently, this was uh, this was dedicated to the production designer of Nightmare on Elm Street 1, Greg Von Keska. Oh, I think that's how it's pronounced. Because he died shortly before the release of this film. Sadly, rip to him. He did the production design on the first one, which obviously contributed to the unique look of that film. Yeah, apparently, yeah. So there's that, and I guess just the critical reception was relatively positive, and yeah, it just certainly interesting, a lot of it, but I kind of went over most of the
Yeah,
behind
honestly,
the
when it
scenes.
comes to this movie, and the movie is mostly just kind of like building mysterious tension with a lot of different scenes, and like I'd say visually it looks really good as well. And I feel like a lot of it is just kind of building this mysterious mystique to what's real and what isn't to the movie realm. Is this all just an imagine? Is this all just like a dream or something? Who knows? Could be a dream. It is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie after all, so it's a cool premise
Mhm.
for a meta film, and it handles it in like a really interesting perspective. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's a
Mhm.
simple, just nice meta flick that just brings things back to what made the first film so good in terms of building up tension and making Freddy seem like a threat again. And I think that's what I really like about this movie and enjoy it. So
Mhm.
I'll admit it's a great one. I think I might like the first film a little better. But honestly,
They're around the same level for me. Honestly, I would prefer this one to that, in my
that's
opinion.
fair.
But
but I think
Yeah.
they're both really good. I like both of them around the same. I might just think I like the original a little better, but regardless, I
Mhm.
think this is a good movie. I'll probably revisit it at some point because I had a
Mhm.
great time watching it. So yeah, it's a
Yeah, I
great
would have
movie.
to
I
agree
highly
with that.
recommend it. I'm gonna give it. I guess getting to ratings. Do you have anything else to say? Like, uh,
Oh, I would give it a high 8 out of 10.
I'd also give it an 8 out of 10. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Anyway, so now time to talk about this lump of shit, and then we'll
Oh
be
yeah,
done here.
yeah.
Nightmare on
So
Elm
I
Street
wanna,
2010.
yeah. So I wanna
So
mention
many,
this for a second.
many years later, we are interested getting into the final, the final of the Elm Street franchise. Except
Even
this
though this
time, it's
is
not
just
like
kind of a
a
remake.
sequel or a different continuity. This is a remake, and
Yeah,
a bland remake at that.
a shitty
So,
remake. Which I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of bad
yeah.
remakes out there that don't do much. But one thing I want to mention is that when I counted, I was considering not counting
Mhm.
this movie because I know it's like it's definitely different from from all the other ones because it's just
Well, see, I think we
sh-
should count it because we have to have four for a balance as well if we
Yeah,
do it
that's
this way.
true. But a part of me was all like, huh, what if we replaced this with Jason X? But I decided against it because, like I said, that's
You
more of a
mean Freddy
Friday the
versus
13th
Jason?
thing.
We already talked about Jason X.
What? I said, oh, wait, did I?
You said Jason X.
I did? I
The-
swear I don't
You said
remember
J-
saying. I did not just. I said not say Jason. I swear I did. Did I? Fuck.
you said Jason X.
I
Yeah.
did? I meant
When I
Freddy
listen back
versus
to this,
Jason.
no, but I
Oh.
swear to God, you just said Jason X. But
Oh
anyway,
no, maybe both of us were.
man, I go what you're saying. I don't know.
Freddy
We'll do a
versus
Freddy versus
Jason,
Jason
yes. A part of
episode
me was like
someday.
thinking of that, but
But,
I don't know. We'll just talk about that another time because, like I said, that was more
yeah.
part of the the Friday the 13th franchise rather than the Elm
Yeah,
Street one.
exactly.
Freddy's just kind of chilling in that one compared to you know, yeah. But as for this film, it's fucking boring. It's a shitty remake of the first film. It's kind of like a reimagining in some way, I'd say, because the film is like different in like its tone in a lot of ways. It basically tries to take itself more seriously in a lot of ways. The film is like it's a different interpretation of the story with it following like similar themes such as like when the main character's name is still Nancy, but she's still like a different character regardless. The film just like it has like a lot of just different it has different qualities from the first film, but it's all just done in a worse way, which is typical
hmm
for a remake of a shitty of
Yeah.
a movie that was good
I don't know. The
and
thing
it's
with
shitty.
Elm Street 2010 is like, I get that it wants to be more serious. I get it wants to be more drab. And that's not even inherently a problem. New Nightmare is a more serious movie, and it's fucking great. I love that movie, as we just discussed. And the original is relatively serious. It has silly moments, but I like that movie a lot too. Even 3, which is a little more like silly still, tries some more like, serious elements, and it works
Yeah.
well enough. The problem is this movie confuses serious with drab. And this is a drab movie. There's just like
It's
it's
just
so
a
bleak.
big,
Which is like, oh,
sad,
it's a horror movie. Of
alcoholic
course it's gonna
bore.
be. Yeah, exactly. But it's not bleak in the way it's a horror movie. Of course it's bleak. This movie doesn't have any personality, any pizzazz to it.
Yeah.
Most notably, we have a terrible substitute for Robert Englund here. See this
Yeah,
guy?
oh
That's
my
not
god,
Freddy.
I do
He doesn't
not
even look
like
like him. He
him.
looks
Yeah,
stupid. Look
yeah,
at
the
how
freaking
silly he
like
looks.
the texture of like the wrinkly skin, it's just so off. There's just something so off about him. And
Mhm.
even the way he talks, I swear he sounds more like Shadow the Hedgehog than fucking Freddy.
I can see it. I can see it.
I was like unsure. I was like, is it just me or does this motherfucker sound like Shadow the Hedgehog? I swear to God,
I
I
can
thought I
see
was
that.
losing my
Yeah.
mind. It's like yeah, he's trying so hard to be intimidating, but it's just like just doesn't work. Not to mention they basically ruined like they gave Freddy just a worse backstory that just makes him less intimidating, even though the movie is attempting to make him more intimidating, which doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, you know that Freddy molested children? Ooh.
Yeah, instead of killing him, he just molested him. Like, why didn't they
Which
just make
apparently
him
that was
kill
like
him?
they implied that in the first movie, but it was like more of an implication. It was second to the fact that he was a murderer. But in this,
Yeah.
that's like the main reason and everything. Which, like, I don't know. I think that makes him less scary. I
Yeah,
guess
he's
I
just
don't know.
I don't know. I feel like
Just kind of a
making
weird thing to add in.
yeah,
Something about
like
it is really creepy.
yeah, I don't know why they
It's like,
decided to just make him a molester instead of a child murderer. Which, like, you might say, well, there isn't
mhm.
that big of a difference between them. But regardless, it's like they just kind of make him less threatening by holding him back from being a full-on serial killer. So it's like a weird
Exactly.
it's just a decision I don't fully understand why they did. So
Yeah.
it's like a weird
And
thing.
it's not gonna make it that different from Freddy's regular backstory, but they change it enough where it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like he
wow.
started off like as some gardener at a preschool, and then he just started molesting children and doing some fucked up shit with them. He brought them to like his basement where they like where he just did stupid, just messed up stuff with it. It's very vague
Yeah,
with what he exactly did. And like one of the guys, main characters in the movie, even say to his dad, who's played by Clancy Brown, that like, hey, you don't
I
know what
noticed that
Freddy did.
Mr.
He
Krabs
could
is
be
in this
innocent. Yeah,
movie.
Mr. Krabs was in it. That was the best part of the movie. It was like, hey, it's Clancy Brown. He's in the movie. That's cool,
He
right?
doesn't do much, but I thought that was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
it's like in
Oh, it's
three
Mr.
scenes,
Krabs.
but Mr. Krabs is in it for briefly. Yeah, it's like and then there's like yeah, but like the guy ends up like talking to his father, and he's all like, "Did you even have any proof what Freddy did? So you killed an innocent man."
It's
And then
really like he like defends Freddy at that part. That's such a
that's such
weird
a weird
scene.
thing
Like,
to do. Not to
what are you
mention,
doing?
another thing is that it makes the characters like the parents resorting to killing Freddy feel less impactful if he's only like molesting them, because if he's only molesting them, they could easily just get the police to fucking do whatever they want
Exactly. They
with
could
him.
just send him to jail.
Yeah, if he straight up murders people, then I understand the decision. I just understand the decision to burn him alive less. They just for no reason made his character worse by adding this like molesting thing instead of making him a full-on
Yeah.
murderer. Like yeah, Freddy.
I,
Regardless, Freddy is still a fucked up person in the movie, but it just made his character worse for no reason. It's
Additionally, I think that adds. Yeah, I agree with you, by the way. But I think additionally, another thing is, I think part of what makes Freddy interesting is that you don't know a lot about him. Like, he murdered
yeah,
people. You don't get his personality outside of that, which is when he's actually killing people. That's when his personality shines and he does all of his things. However, if you like know more about Freddy's life pre all the dream stuff, and I think that makes him a less compelling character personally. And then it's not even like, well, you'll see his personality when he's killing you, because look at how hammy Robert Englund is. No, he's not hammy or fun. And I'm fine with him not being as hammy, but he's not scary either. So it's like, well, we'll see. What do you got here? What characteristics does Freddy Krueger exhibit in this film that are good? I don't.
nothing. There's
Uh,
nothing. There's not really any creative kills. The CG is much worse. The CG is worse compared to what they did in the sequels. Because sure, the CG and stuff
exactly.
like Freddy's Dead was bad, but it was like much more charm to it, and like it did something weirdly creative with it, despite how dumb and out of place it was.
Well, no, see, those early movies
Ridiculous.
are goofy, but I think in the most of them, they have like, well, some stuff looks kind of bad by today's standards, but I
Yeah.
think for a lot of it, they did have good looking stuff because to complement those Elm Street movies, they were really good on production design. Like
Mhm.
they knew where like it looked all looked good, it contributed to these movies' vibe. But this movie, it just like it's so bland. So, and you might
Yeah.
be like, well, it's a horror movie. Of course, it's bleak. But like, you could make a scary horror movie and have personality, but this one just
Exactly.
doesn't.
No, it's
Ah,
so
I
lame.
hate it.
I just got.
Stupid movie.
Honestly, I don't even know how much I have to say about this movie. In terms of the
No, me
characters,
too. There's not very
they're
little.
just
Well,
so
actually, no.
boring.
I do have one important thing to say about this movie.
What?
Uh, a certain director we've talked about on this
Oh no.
podcast was behind
Oh,
the helm. You may know him for films like Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the
It's Michael
Fallen.
Bay. I'm just gonna cut it. It's Michael
Yeah,
Bay.
yeah, it's Michael Bay direct.
Apparently
I think
he
he
like
directed. No, he didn't direct. But Michael Bay produced
produced.
this
Yeah,
movie, which
produced.
he also
Wink,
produced the
wink.
Friday the 13th remake. That was a year
Really?
before this.
Wow.
So yeah,
Which
I
is weird. How
he,
weird.
yeah, and he also produced the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from the 2000s. So Michael Bay loved directing horror, not direct, producing horror remakes for some reason.
Yeah.
Which means if you look into his career, he's produced a lot of like shitty horror. So there's all
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. I wouldn't say you could feel Michael Bay's influence. There's not anything like that.
The film
which
is like
honestly that would
visually
make it a
isn't
more
very
interesting
good,
movie.
but like
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah.
like bad visually
Well,
in
it's not
a way
like Bay's
Michael Bay.
performance
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Well, although I will say, honestly, I think Michael Bay directing in Elm Street would be a little more interesting than what we have
It
here.
would be
It'd be
probably
bad.
would
but
be
it'd be-
awful, but like it would be
Oh my!
interesting.
Imagine like Revenge of the Fallen type stuff with Elm
That would have been
Street.
awful.
It's like
Or
No,
right
but like
near
a
the
2.5 hour
enemy's Freddy's scrotum.
climax.
Yeah, that's probably
That's
what the
perfect.
dialogue might
That's
be. You
perfect.
know, it would be so
That
weird.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's
Yeah.
like the film's just so boring. The characters are all planks of wood. There's nothing to them. The movie is just so lame. There's nothing interesting to it. It's just like a shitty remake. It's like the main character is like I don't fucking know. One of theirs is named Nancy. So like that's the closest this film. I don't know. The
well,
main
I
character's name
get
is
it's supposed to be
Nancy.
Nancy from the first film, and I don't like her as much. I don't really care about
I don't care about
Nancy.
anyone in this movie. They're so lame.
Yeah,
I can
or
barely
like
remember their
Johnny.
names.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The only one I remember is Nancy because she was in the first film. I think the main guy is supposed to be a stand-in for Johnny Depp's character in the first one, but
Oh yeah.
fuck if you could tell that from just his dialogue because he's boring.
He's boring.
Yeah.
Like I fall off by the end, I guess. They fight against Freddy. Freddy talks a lot more in this movie now that I think about it. He doesn't shut his damn mouth. Like yeah. He talks I don't know, I think that makes him less scary of him, like you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's lame. Freddy's lame
Yeah.
in this movie. He's just I don't know, just like everything about him is just so much worse. The kills aren't very good. I don't know. The only things I kind of like was some decent gore and shots. That's literally all I can compliment. Everything else is just really lame. And even then, visually, this film doesn't look very good with all the stupid editing cuts within the dreams looking awful and some bad CG. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at some behind the scenes stuff now, and apparently Wes Craven didn't even like this movie when he saw it according to like an interview. He was like, "Why are they making another one?" And it's like, I mean, yeah, you know, you're not wrong, Wes. You're good on that.
Yeah, it says something
looking
when
at
even the director of the original film did not like
Yeah.
the remake.
yeah, the director of this one, Samuel Bauer, he has this quote I want to read out because it's really pretentious. It's definitely not a standard slasher film. This is a movie that you can mention to people and their jaws drop because of that franchise. The character had a profound effect in their childhood. I hear things like, Freddy scared the hell out of me. What everyone involved in this wants to do is to reinvent the character for a new generation. And it's like, did you?
Did you really?
Just a Freddy Krueger people have... Look, Robert Englund's Freddy is so iconic. People still dress up as him for Halloween. People know Freddy quote. He's an iconic character. He at this point he's like one of the horror icons. But do people remember Elm Street 2010?
I don't know. I don't see a lot of people talk about this movie.
Elm Street 2010 is so unmemorable. I didn't even watch it when I did that. Like I did my original Elm Street marathon back in 2021. To be fair, I didn't also watch New Nightmare, but that's because I forgot. But this I actively didn't want to watch. So it's like, well, this is just sad. A sad movie.
Yeah, there's just nothing, just fucking lame and bland. It's just, I don't know. It's almost like I don't think it's as bad as it, but I think it's like the Leprechaun origins of the Elm Street franchise.
That's a perfect example, actually. It's the
the
no
characters
respect
are
for
probably
Elm
the
Street.
same level of it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we barely remember those guys, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember Leprechaun Origins even having characters.
I forget most of that movie, to be
Sa-
perfect. I mean, I'll say this is better than Leprechaun Origins, but
I'll say the
you know.
same, but yeah, it's still terrible. I don't know. There's just not much
Mm.
even really happens. I guess there's some gore, some kills, but like nothing interesting compared to the original film. Like, what are you getting? There's nothing it improves on. It's a typical shitty Hollywood remake that adds nothing interesting to the source material, and it's just fucking lame. That's the best way you could
Mhm.
summarize this movie in a couple sentences. It's just a very sad, boring
Mhm.
remake of a better film. And frankly, Freddy versus Jason is probably better, and I should watch that. And I was about to say Jason X because that maybe I did say Jason
Yeah,
X
I knew
earlier.
you
Who
said it
knows?
before. I knew it.
Maybe I did because I when I was about to say Freddy
Now, when you
versus
talk
Jason,
about
I
that
had
movie,
Jason
to be
X in my
fair, you
brain.
might just have it on the mind, but
I don't know.
uh,
Both Freddy versus Jason and Jason X just come to mind when I think of the Friday the 13th franchise. So it's like a
yeah.
mix of between those two. I heard they're the
Mhm.
most like campy ones of the franchise, but I don't know.
Yeah.
As for this one, I don't know. The closest this film gets to campy is when one of the girls are drowning in blood, and Freddy says, "How's this for a wet dream?" But it doesn't reach the line of camp. It's the closest this film gets to campy,
He's
yet
trying
it
to do a
doesn't
Freddy
even.
clip, but you can't do it if
You
you don't have
can't.
that delivery.
Exactly.
Like,
There's
come on.
no interesting delivery to it. It's lame. It's
Oh,
lame.
yeah.
This movie blows. I don't. Do you have anything else to say? I was gonna say more, but I
I think
can't
we
say
can wrap
stuff.
up honestly because there's really not a lot to say. There's really
Yeah, there's some
tepid.
awful visual effects with like the
Yeah.
fire and shit during the
Oh my
flashback where we
god.
get Freddy
Uh,
running away from the parents as they burn down the place instead of calling the police. Like, just call the police, man. The police could handle this much better than you guys burning him to death, you know? If he was like, it made much more sense in the first film, to the original film, than it did to the remake. It was just a stupid thing to add. Yeah, this movie sucks.
yeah,
It's easily the
exactly.
worst of all of these. Like, like Freddy's Dead and the other ones are bad, but at least they're fun. This just has
This
this
one
one.
is so bad. It should have got a Razzie for worst picture. But
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't think the people who choose the Razzies even remembered this movie's existence, so they just didn't nominate it. Maybe that's what
mm,
happened. Anyways, that's it. Ready
yep.
to your ratings?
Um, okay, I think I'm a little more nice this one because this movie is better than I expected, and that I was like, I really thought this would be more frustrating, but really just kind of a tepid movie. You get the problems almost immediately, so you're just kind of sitting there. That
Yeah.
being said, though, it is really bad. So this one gets a very low 3 out of 10. So
I'm a bit
that's
more
my.
negative here. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. I just could not enjoy anything about this movie. Like, I was originally also thinking of doing a 3, but then I thought about it more and I thought, like, there isn't really much I actually enjoy about this movie at all. So, like, I don't think it's worth a 3 out of 10 for me, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. It's like a low three too, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, well, that's Elm Street. Interesting franchise to say the least. Well, going all over the place in the campy side. Should be fun. We're
Yeah.
probably gonna get into Campy Cat's Christmas season soon, since it's already approaching near the November month. Since
Can I say we already have our next episode lined
yeah,
up,
but
which
like we
we
could always
should.
switch
I mean,
it.
say
So
what that is,
like,
or should we leave it?
I think we'll just
Leave
leave
it
it
at
because who
the.
knows? We could always switch out what it really is, but.
Mhm.
Anyways, yeah, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Campy Cast. I
Well, yeah.
know these two-part episodes of both Elm Streets weren't like as long as the Leprechaun ones, but
Well, we
we
had
just
like
didn't have as
what,
much to
half
say.
the people this time. To be
Yeah,
fair,
that's a good
so,
point. We had like double people last time, but I mean, we just
yeah.
had two other people, but yeah. Anyways, thank you for tuning in for
Yeah.
another episode, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.